Hello, everybody. My name is Andrea Bonina, and I'm a partner here at Bonina and Bonina. I am going to be with you today for Frequently Asked Friday, and the question I'm going to be answering is, can I seek justice under the Adult Survivors Act? So the Adult Survivors Act was just signed into law by Governor Hochul, and my brother talked about it a bit about 2 weeks ago. And the new law creates a 1-year look-back period for victims of sexual assault who were 18 years or older at the time that they were assaulted. And that look-back window gives them 1 year to file a lawsuit against their offender. Now, this 1-year window or revival of the statute of limitations applies no matter when the assault occurred, and it will open in November of 2022. So the ASA, or the Adult Survivors Act, allows victims, as I said, to sue for sexual offenses as defined by Article 130 of the New York State Penal Code. And it also allows victims of incest who were 18 years or older at the time to file for lawsuits because of that as well. And these lawsuits would be civil suits for money damages and for pain and suffering. Now, since the passage of the Adult Survivors Act, we've been getting a lot of questions about what constitutes an offense covered by the Penal Code. And so let's talk a little bit about that, because that definition covers a lot of things. First and foremost, engaging in sexual intercourse or oral sexual conduct or anal sexual conduct that is non-consensual, someone who doesn't consent to that, is covered by the Penal Code. Administering a prescription substance in order to sexually assault someone, which is, you might have heard the term giving someone a roofie, that is covered by the Penal Code Section 130. And although this is seen frequently in settings like clubs or fraternity parties, many of the women who were assaulted by Bill Cosby actually were administered drugs in order to diminish or eliminate their ability to consent. So it's not just something that happens in a club setting. This can happen, at a business meeting. Many of these women were people who were talking to him in a business setting. Additionally covered by Section 130 is engaging in sexual intercourse with a person who is incapable of consent. This obviously includes sexual intercourse or sexual contact when the person is unconscious or for any other reason unable to consent to an act. And this is something that we frequently see in colleges and universities. And importantly, the statistics about this are just really, really horrifying. The LA Times recently reported that fraternity men are 3 times more likely to rape a woman than a non-affiliated classmate. Most gang rapes that are reported on campuses are tied to fraternities, and women who are in sororities are 74% more likely to be raped than other college women. So this is a sad reality, and it's something that happens all the time at colleges and universities. And I want anyone who was sexually assaulted when they were too inebriated to consent to know it was not your fault. You are not the wrongdoer. You did not do anything wrong. You were not able to consent, and it was not your fault. Also covered in Penal Code 130 is squeezing, grabbing, pinching, or touching the sexual or intimate parts of another person for the purposes of degrading or abusing a victim, or for the purposes of gratifying the offender's sexual desire. This is something that it applies whether it's on skin-on-skin contact or somebody touching through clothing. Similarly, ejaculating on any part of a victim, clothed or unclothed, without their consent is covered by Penal Law 130. Subjecting another person to sexual contact by forcible compulsion, which means compelling someone to do it either by physical force or by threats, that is covered by Penal Code 130. Inserting an object or finger into someone's body without their consent or if they're incapable of consent, is covered by Section 130, as is rape or a criminal sexual act against a person that the offender knows to be related to them, which is known as incest. So that's what's covered by the law under the Adult Survivors Act, any of those actions. A question we've been getting is about who can be sued under the Adult Survivors Act. The Adult Survivors Act allows survivors to pursue an action against the individual who committed the harm and any entity that enabled the abuse through either what they did or what they failed to do. For example, when NBC fired Matt Lauer for sexual harassment, there were complaints that had been out there for years, and there were years of non-disclosure agreements when people left NBC. The evidence in that case is that NBC knew Matt Lauer was a predator for years and years and years and looked the other way. So in that example, his victims could not only sue him directly, but they could also sue NBC. Another example is the now deceased Vito Lopez, who was a New York State Assemblyman. There's evidence that the Assembly looked the other way for years when this very powerful man, who was allegedly nicknamed Vito Gropez, harassed and abused his female staffers for years. So you can sue not only the individual, but also the entities that enabled them. The Adult Survivors Act is not limited to employers to be potential defendants. Colleges, universities, fraternities, government entities, hospitals, or any other companies that enabled an abuser's actions are potential defendants. If an entity enabled or empowered an abuser, they need to be held responsible. And that's what the Adult Survivors Act aims to do. If you have any questions, you can call me directly at the office. Our number is 718-522-1786, and we're here to help, we're here to listen, and we're here to fight for you. Next week on Frequently Asked Friday, my brother and partner John is going to be talking about negligent supervision in school settings. That's something that we've unfortunately seen a lot of in cases that we represent children who were abused sexually in schools. And the week after that, Erin Peake is going to be answering questions about sexual assault on campuses. So if you've got questions, please tune in because we're going to be here ready to answer them for you. Thank you so much.